Hi everyone, in today's video I wanna speak with you guys about mortgage as a financial tool for investors in Dubai. Many people still think that mortgage is something for only end users because people still think about mortgage in a very simple way. They still think that mortgage can be applied only after handover, if you buy on the secondary market, if you are an end user, and if you cannot pay in cash. But this is too simplistic. For an investor, mortgage can be an amazing tool to improve your flexibility, protect your cash, and improve the return on equity. Recently, mortgage for off-plan properties started to expand for more developers and more projects. And that matters a lot because investors still think that mortgage is something that they cannot use before the handover. So the point of this video is not to discuss some specific bank or specific project where the mortgage is applicable. So let me explain the first strategy. Most of the end users only come to a project when it's fully ready, when it has building completion certificate, and it's clearly mortgageable. And as you probably already know, most of the growth and most of capital gain in the project happens in the last 6 months before the handover, the actual handover. And inertially it continues after at a slower pace. So if you're an investor, using the mortgage before the handover can help you to solve one big problem. You don't need to rush with the final payment anymore, putting all your own money into that. And that obviously helps your cash flow, or in other words, reduces the pressure on your own money. And in case you sell with the premium, it obviously improves your return on equity, meaning it improves the return on the cash you personally invested. So let's take a very simple example. You have a property which costs 2 million dirhams and you already paid 60% by the payment plan, which is 1,200,000 dirhams. So the remaining amount, 800,000, can be mortgaged. And let's say before the handover, there's still 1 year left. So you're not having in your mind that 12 months later, you will have to put 800 dirhams on the table from your pocket because our lives are sometimes unpredictable. Instead of it, you just apply for the mortgage and your monthly payment will be roughly 4,200 dirhams a month. So what it gives you? First of all, it gives you peace of mind, definitely. Secondly, it gives you a chance to use the money that you have, those 800,000, use it for example, next investment or covering your other expenses. And thirdly, you will not be pushed into making a decision to sell your property at the lower price in comparison to what you were targeting on, because the final payment is getting close. So let's continue. Now, let's imagine that there's been 18 months since the moment that you took a mortgage. Your property was handed over 6 months ago, and now the price is 2,400,000 dirhams. What matters is that mortgage gave you time, confidence, and flexibility. You are not forced to sell quickly because of the final payment. You are not forced to inject all the cash at the worst possible moment. In other words, it gave you full control over your exit. And that is the reason why I see the mortgage not as a debt. I see it as a tool for investor. But of course, it's not a free money. You still have to go through the procedure, apply for the mortgage, get the valuation, pay the transaction costs, interest costs, monthly payments, etc., etc. So the numbers still have to make sense. That's important to understand that mortgage is not something that magically fixes a bad deal. I would say it is something that improves a good strategy if applied properly. And now, briefly, let's speak about another investor tool, another bank product, which is called Equity Release. So let's say you already own a ready property in Dubai. It's not mortgaged, it's fully paid, it's yours already, and you just renting it out. You like your property, you like the location, you like the layout, you like even your tenants, and you don't plan to sell it in the next 5 to 10 years. So there is an amazing bank product for you as an investor as well. Since there is a lot of capital locked inside that asset, I mean your ready property, the bank will be happy to make the valuation of the property and release a big amount, up to 80% of the property price for your next investment, property investment. Or up to 50%, the bank will be happy to give you cash, and the bank will not ask you, why do you need this cash for? In simple words, they release an equity on your existing assets, and that gives you more flexibility again. As a banking product, equity release costs roughly the same as mortgage, so depending on the client's profile and the bank, it roughly will be around 4% as of April 2026. So what is the main idea? You still have your asset, which you like a lot, which still generates you rental income, and at the same time, you unlock a part of your capital of this asset for your next investment. Sounds very simple, right? And it actually is simple. So that is why I consider equity release also to be an amazing tool for investor in Dubai. Now, is the strategy good for everyone? Of course not. It works best for people who already clearly understands their numbers, their time horizon, and their risk tolerance. It can be useful to preserve liquidity, to avoid selling a good asset when you don't want it, or grow your portfolio more efficiently. But if your numbers are weak, your income is unstable, and you are already overextending yourself, then leverage can make a bad situation even worse. So the tools themselves are not good or bad. It all depends on how you use it. So as you probably know, I'm a real estate broker, so I am focused on the data, transactions, negotiations, and the transfers themselves. I understand quite clearly how the mortgage and equity release works in Dubai, but most importantly, I work with independent mortgage advisors who can find you the best solution for your situation among all the banks in the UAE, depending on your profile and depending on your goals. Whether you're looking for an off-plan property, ready property, or thinking about using an equity release, feel free to message me on WhatsApp so we can go through a case properly. Also, if you have any questions about how the mortgage works, also don't hesitate to send me a message, and I will definitely be happy to help you with that. Thanks for watching. If you found something interesting in that video, please like and subscribe. See you in the next video.